For support then, this little arch shape, the symmetry is kind of vertical again, so we'll utilize that. I'm kind of thinking I'll put the origin at the top center as just a convenient attachment point. The radius of 10, again, I can put those in as the sketch feature. We have the 4x45 since there is a 4mm radius. That's a little close, depending on the blend and how much. I'd probably make that a little bit bigger, but we'll take a look at that in the assembly and see if it's something that's worthwhile to address. So we'll fly that out of the way, and we're back into our new part. And millimeter, and in the front plane. Now this is one of those, when it goes into the assembly, the right plane would actually be better, but when it goes in the drawing, the front plane would be better to start the sketch. So it's kind of a wash as to which way we go. So when in doubt, go with first instinct, and I'll put in the front plane. L on the keyboard, vertical infinite length for construction. Place it, right click, select, and then right back into line on the L on the keyboard. I think we mentioned, and you've probably encountered the continuous arc. So if I start a line at an endpoint, drag away, and go back to that start point, then I go into a tangent arc. So it's a real quick, easy way to pull up that arc geometry. So as soon as I do that, I'm not going to worry about the feature fillet. Come down a little bit, over. I want to use the chamfer feature, so I'm going to leave that one out, and we'll come back to the center line. Let's go ahead and put a few dimensions on. So right-click, Smart Dimension, and we have a radius of 10. And overall, so I haven't mirrored yet, but I can still use that radial or half dimension, full dimension strategy and place those dimensions even without the mirror. And then we're given a 14, so an escape will get me out of the diametral strategy, and 14. So it didn't like something there, so I have an inference. All right, so let's go ahead and I can cancel that. I do want to review the driving and the driven since I still have some confusion about that. So notice that I have a coincident that I did not intend. That is driving the vertical line. The object went to black. So when I highlight the relation, I'm seeing that those are now applied in coincident, and that happened just in the process of sketching and picking up that inference. So delete on the keyboard will make that go away. And since I let that dimension stay without canceling it, accepting it as a driven dimension, I now need to shift its priority by right-clicking and accepting the driven. There is another location under Other that I can uncheck driven. The right mouse button is certainly easier to get to. So now when I double-click and change that dimension, it updates to 14. If it was still, and now that it's a driving dimension, I can change it. If it was still a driven dimension, it would tell me that it can't be modified. So some more dimensions. We have 21 on the inside, and then overall, maybe we have 10 to the center of the hole, and 10 for the radius. Well, let's fly this back in here and see if there's a dimension that I'm not seeing. So I guess the assumption would be that that is also 10. So the fun part of missing dimensions, and you may get to make the choice if you want to figure out what's going on with it, make an adjustment, and nope, sure don't have an overall. So I'm just going to go 20 on that. And because that is a questionable number, I do want to take advantage of the inspection dimension where I can put that as an oblong, and then that might be something that I would mark for the drawing as a review item. All right, so a couple of notations kind of helps me remember that I did something there that I'm going to probably end up having to check later, and that's going to remind me that I needed to check it even when I didn't. All right, so right to left, we get everything. I can go to mirror, left to right. I'm going to get all of the objects and not the center line. So if I see something like that and go into mirror, it's still going to ask me for the axis of revolution, or the axis of the center line for the mirror, and we go ahead and accept. On our features, we can extrude, and this is going to be 10 millimeters. Not real worried about the front, back, or midplane. So whichever one of those you want to do. And then we'll rotate over, picking the bottom. And I don't have to pick each of these faces separately because they're coplanar. When I apply, let's go S key and hole wizard. And we are on the simple, and it has a 5 millimeter by 10 depth. And we'll go into the position, place the first one, place the second one. I could have mirrored these. Probably should have mirrored, so since I didn't, we'll go into the line. I'm going to set it for construction. We'll just bring that down. And now to apply symmetry, I'm going to select, control select the center line and the other point, and then I will get a symmetric relation. And then from point to point is 50. And we still have an underdefined condition, so if I drag those, I can't go left and right, I go up and down. Then this might be someplace where I could select the midpoint of the center line, since it exists in the sketch, or the midpoint of one of the edges, and make that horizontal. That gives me a fully defined sketch for it to work with. All right, so once we've accepted the hole wizard, I'm going to pre-select both those faces. There is a chamfer on the right mouse button, or we can come up to the features, and the little pull down arrow under chamfer will also give us that option. So since I pre-selected, 10 millimeters is pretty big, so since I don't see a preview, that's kind of telling me it's too big, it's not going to work. So if I go 4 millimeters, then that geometry should. And if we do a full preview, oh, I was on no preview, so that was the other reason I didn't get one. But with full preview, I can see its position. All right, let's see, I missed one hole. So I want to have the chamfer, typically I want the chamfers and the fillets slash radiuses at the very end. There are places where because of the tolerancing or the rounding that may occur with a round or a chamfer that can affect other dimensions. It's typically a good idea to have them at the very end. All right, so I've been hitting the S key a lot. Remember that you can come up to the features, go to the hole wizard, and now we're going to go to a 10 millimeter. Let's see, nope, not going to let me type it in. So 10 millimeter, and up to next condition, its position. And then if we did stay with the midpoint on that, I could go line for construction and then just connect those. And regardless of what that other number, well, no, I guess I can't really do that. I would have to have the at least the dimension 10 millimeters to work with. So that gets that in position, and then I just want to remember to roll forward so that we have our shape. All right, so Control Save, and this is going to be the support.